What's up, YouTube? It's artisanmc, and it's late. It's a late nighter. So for this PMDM, I wanted to hit on the fact of being true to yourself. Now, I was in a conversation on Art of It More Enraged channel, and we were having a good conversation, and we got to the point where we were going back and forth with G Serotonin and myself and AL, and about how in the black community you're basically shamed for reading and knowing the things that you know. And one of the points G rose was that he cannot have conversations he wants to with the people around him because they will not understand what he's talking about. They won't understand what he's talking about. They won't understand the words that he's using and why he, in a sense, comes to the manosphere, because that's where he wants to. And now, second part of the conversation was where I introduced the understanding of women into this situation, and we talked about how he does not talk to women about the stuff he does. He just, doesn't mention it or anything like that. He talks to them about shit that doesn't matter. And I told him, and I said, I didn't do that. I said, fuck that. That I would not be any less of myself than I am for a woman or anybody else. And we glanced over it, but we didn't touch on it, so I felt I wanted to touch on it here. The main reason being is that while we're having this conversation and we're relating it to how the black community and black men in the black community are seen, negatively reinforced, and pushed away from doing anything that's actually intelligent, that I realized at a certain point as a black male, just a male in general, that I had to own every part of myself. And to a certain point, I learned through life that it does me no justice to be any less of what I am capable of. And that doing that is only to make other people comfortable in their lack of, or their their inflated belief of superiority. And that does anybody no favors. It doesn't do me any favors. It doesn't really do them any favors. And it brought back this quote when thinking about that, because we didn't really go into it, but understanding that to thy own self things need to be true. And it reminded me of something I told to my kids, that you can lie to yourself and you can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to me. Right? You as a person are the first person you lie to. You are. That's where the first deception lies, when you are not being real with yourself. And part of not being real with yourself is not being the fullest of what you can be out in the world. Now, I may have come to this at a different point than most people, because I came to it through geekdom and some personal tragedies in my personal life. But no matter what path led me here, this is the path that I'm on. And the path that I'm on does not see me trying to be any less than I am in any situation. Now, that can be a detriment in some ways, but it is also hugely empowering, I would think, for a young black male. Is that if you are smart, if you are intelligent, you like reading books, you dig science, you can really understand science, you know how to speak English correctly in code switch, as it's called, then that's who the hell you need to be. You need to own that. Never be less than yourself for anybody. It does yourself a great disservice, because for me, that's where all the self-loathing comes from knowing you can be better than you are, that you could do better than you are doing, that you know more than you actually putting out. That is not the recipe for anybody having any kind of self-love or appreciating themselves for who they are. You have to learn that as a man, and the sooner the better, especially as a black man, because society as a whole is only going to take from you. They're only going to want to take your self-respect. They only want to take your sense of drive, your sense of creativity, your sense of imagination, your sense of the world and understanding that you can fix certain things. They're only going to want to take that away from you, even your freedom. So because of that, you need to stand for yourself, forthright, on anything that you are or into, and let people around you learn to accept that you are not going to try to stick your 6-foot ass into a 3-foot box so everybody else can feel comfortable and feel tall for themselves. Fuck all that. Fuck that. That is not the recipe for success. It is not the recipe for success. I don't think Elon Musk is successful because he tried to be like everybody else and be less intelligent and less smart than he actually fucking is. It doesn't work. No great man or nobody who has made himself great ever did it by being less than himself. By being less than what he is capable of fucking doing. I don't see that. I don't see that anywhere in a history book. That is not the song of success. That's the song of dying in mediocrity, living in a bunch of regret, and really hating the world and everything around you because you made the choice to be less than who you are and less than who you could be. You have to be true to you. If nobody else is going to be real with you, how can you complain if you won't be real with yourself? That's where all this starts. It starts with you being real with yourself and looking at the world in reality with yourself, because that projects outward to everybody else. Now I heard earlier in the day that BGS was having a stream, and I think it was Mike V came up and he wanted to give some words to AL, and he wanted to thank him for some words AL gave, which kind of put him on the path to learning to, you can only raise people so much, and then you have to let them live with the choices that they make. And at that next point, you have to live your own life. You do. Because your life is always being lived. No matter what you put aside for the time that it takes to raise children, once they are of age, that is you to get back on your life's mission. Because you made their life your mission for a while. But it's not always the case. There is a cutoff time for that shit, where you need to go and get the rest of the things done in your life that you want. And you have to learn. Nobody's going to tell you that shit other than other men who've already been through it and know they have to do it. It's not selfish to have goals for yourself. You're supposed to have goals for yourself. You have to be selfish and guarding that time to do it, because everyone and everything else will try to take you away from it. But if you think about it, these are the people who never accomplish it, that always want to pull you back from trying to accomplish. You have to know what you're about. You have to know what your goals are. You have to own that shit, all of it. Even if you're a repugnant, crotchety ass, you need to own that shit and understand why you are that way. Because you have to be true to you for nobody else first but you. That's where you find your comfort and yourself. That's why you find your strength in yourself. That's where you can look at your positives and negatives and say, yeah, well, these are those and these are that. And nobody can tell me anything different, because who knows more about me than me? Nobody. So for me, I learned that I don't downplay my intelligence for women. I don't, especially dumb ones. No, why would I? If you feel uncomfortable and outclassed, that's just what you feel. That's your business. I don't downplay my intelligence for dudes or bosses or employers or shit like that. No. I may not say some things that I'm thinking, but that's also my wrong. I don't have to tell you everything I'm thinking, but I'm not going to play like I'm stupid either. That is one of the biggest insults that I realized that I had ever done for myself growing up, is not be all I could be, and not be just who the fuck I was, because it made other people uncomfortable. That's not my job to make them comfortable. I wasn't born into this world with soft hands to be a pillow fluffer for everybody else. No, I have my own life, my own fucking desires. And the only person that needs to be going after those primarily is me. So me finding peace in my life, finding peace in who I am, and finding strength in who I am, regardless if it's good, bad, or indifferent, is being true and knowing who I am and holding to that truth. And that's my message to the younger brothers out there and anybody else who's listening. Be true to yourself and let your own self be true. I'm artisanmc, and that is the end of this PMDM. See you guys next time.